if you found some roadkill, then you could throw that down the drain, throw that in the tank, I should say. Not, it probably won't flush. Throw
I
that down in the tank, and that's going to help the bacteria inside the septic system.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Doodie Calls.
Episode 7, right?
7.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Pretty much.
Cool. What are we talking about?
We are talking about additives today. Basically, we touched base on them a little bit last video.
Kinda.
A little bit. So in this video, we're really going to dive in deep, talk about how they work, some misconceptions about those. That's
misconceptions about them. There's a lot. It's amongst pumpers, at least, that I know. It's a pretty hotly debated topic, as to their effectiveness. Are they useful? Are they actually detrimental? Is it snake oil? Yeah. So I spent a lot of time today,
Yes.
talking with a couple manufacturers of additives, people that have been doing this for a long time. They had a lot of research to back up their claims, a lot of case studies, and they've been in business a long time. I mean, they've been doing this for a while. I also have talked to other pumpers in the industry all over the nation, to kind of get their opinion on additives. And I want to preface this video and my research a little bit here with some context. So I want to start by saying no two septic systems are the same. They could have the same material, they could be the same age, they could be in the same soil conditions, but the wastewater going into the two septic systems is going to be completely different.
That would make sense.
Right? Your body digests food and waste, and you use certain amounts of different types of cleaning agents and soaps and stuff like that. Your neighbor's not going to be the same.
Right.
Somebody 100 miles away is probably not going to be the same. And so the bacteria and biological environment inside of septic systems, even if all other things are standard, it's not going to quite be the same. And so a lot of the figures that I have, a lot of the information that I got was based on specific individual studies, and is also a lot of averages, in terms, like some of the percentages I wrote down are a lot of averages. So I wanted to preface this conversation with that first.
Sure.
Okay. I wanted this to be as truthful and as informative as possible. And hopefully we're not too boring. Has anybody told us we're boring?
We're quite interesting.
Okay. Well, anyways, so I think we're starting with misconceptions.
Sure,
I made a list here. So
it's mostly for me. Him.
So misconception, I would start with that the additives are actually detrimental to the system. That anything extra that you might flush down the drain or use in the septic system is snake oil. It's, no matter what, it's not going to work. It's not going to provide any benefit, and you're wasting your money. Okay. I usually hear that from other pumpers, truthfully. Okay. All right. The other side to that is that no matter what's wrong with an existing, like a current system that is having problems, whether you're not flushing, surfacing effluent, whatever it is, no matter what that reason is, if you use this product, it's going to magically go away. Your problems will go away forever.
So it's a miracle.
It is a miracle.
Okay.
I would say neither one of those are true, personally.
Well, no, no, they're not.
You could have, there's a lot of situations. Nothing's going to magically fix a failing system. But at the same time, there can be certain advantages to different types of treatment, different additives, different technology. And so I think that's kind of, there's misconception. Those are the two misconceptions that I know about.
Yeah, so, I've heard both of them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's a third.
Okay.
There's a third. I almost forgot this one.
Okay.
If you use an additive, you never have to have anything done to your septic system. You can flush whatever you want, as much of it as you want, and you never have to have a pumper. We shouldn't be in business if that were true.
That makes me nervous.
I'm just saying, we would not be in business if that were true, because everybody would go to the store,
and
they'd buy
their
a
product.
blue box of product, flush it down, and we'd be starving.
Yeah, it's something like that.
So Yeah. None of those three are wholly accurate. There may be there's not really any truth to using an additive is going to magically fix the system.
And
Like
I also
there's not a
wouldn't
whole lot of
say
truth to any of
you
it.
should never pump your tank either. That's horribly incorrect.
Yes. So, and we'll kind of talk about why that's incorrect and what
Yes.
additives actually do,
Yes.
how they work, and those are all the notes that I have here.
Yeah,
So,
and again, these are more for me than they are for him.
so kind of to start, in place of an additive, I would say there's been some crazy things that I've seen people flush down drains or suggest or ask about.
I mean, I've seen some pictures, which
Yeah.
you can't unsee some of those.
I would say one of the wildest ones was like roadkill. If you found some roadkill, then you could throw that down the drain, throw that in the tank, I should say. Not, it probably won't flush. Throw that down in the tank, and that's going to help the bacteria inside the septic system. I've also seen, you know, sour milk. Dump a bag of dog food or cat food down there. A pound of ground beef, just raw beef, dump it in there.
Sounds horrific.
Yeah, cat food, baker's yeast, which I have some more information on baker's yeast a little bit later. Yeah, stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't want to say that this is good effort. Like it was a good effort. You're probably not doing it. You're not helping the system putting roadkill in the tank.
I wouldn't want to like handle it long enough to just plop it in there.
Most people don't want to open their septic tank either, though, and see what's in
Right.
it. So,
I mean,
I guess if you're handling roadkill, you can do about anything, right?
Sure.
Yeah, those aren't going to help the system. And then when it comes to actual additives, actual
Yes.
products, there's kind of two categories that most products fall under. You have a retail grade, or it's just generally a lower quality product. These are going to be things that you're going to find at retail stores, maybe you find them online, that kind of stuff. And then you have a more commercial grade or a professional grade product. These products are made by more reputable manufacturers with more research, more case studies.
So there's actually some differences.
There's actually some science. There are some differences. You know, these companies that are making quality products actually care about the treatment of wastewater. They care about making sure that what they're making works and is going to help. And they also honestly they make septic systems. They're not the only product that they make. They make products for municipal wastewater treatment systems that treat millions of people, producing tens of millions of gallons of water a day. All right, those systems, those municipal wastewater treatment plants operate very similarly to septic systems. Just a septic system is like a miniature version of one,
Scale.
very smaller scale, because we're treating 500 gallons a day versus 5 million gallons a day, sort of thing. There's mechanical processes involved with wastewater treatment plants, municipal ones, I should say. But they use bacteria, they use enzymes to break down the wastewater and to treat the wastewater before the treated effluent is discharged back into groundwater or water sources in general. There's probably more research on the use of bacteria and enzymes treating wastewater in the municipal wastewater treatment plant world, because they're typically there's a lot more that goes into a municipal wastewater treatment plant.
Right.
More regulations. It's a more strict process. All that kind of stuff. It's a lot bigger, but the concept is nearly identical. A septic tank uses bacteria to help break down and separate the wastewater. The soil does the actual treatment and disposal of the wastewater. Okay, municipal plant does a lot of both, but anyways, I would look for determining a professional grade product over a retail grade product. I'd look at how much they have in research and in case studies, and also whether or not their products are something that municipalities use in wastewater treatment.
Okay.
So those would be things that I would recommend. I would also recommend talking to the pumper. Some pumpers are going to tell you that it's snake oil, that it doesn't work, it's not helpful, it's actually harmful to the system. In that case, just do your own research, sort of thing. I'm not going to necessarily disagree with them because I like most pumpers.
I mean, everybody has their own opinion.
I like most pumpers, but everybody has their own opinion. And I think we're going to talk about why that opinion may be outdated, would be the best way to describe it, right? Okay, coming up. What next?
So speaking of that
What do we have here?
bacteria in the tank, back on my list here.
Okay.
Speaking of that bacteria in the tank, how do the additives actually work with that bacteria?
So, waste so out of a household, just on average household, 99% of the water that goes into a septic tank is, or wastewater that goes into a septic tank is water. Okay, 1% of that water is solids. All right, your toilet is going to produce the vast majority of the solids that go into your septic tank. Kitchen sink, dishwasher would probably be the next one because of food particles. But that's pretty much that's where the bulk of the solids come from. Okay, so 99% is water on average, 1% is solids. Of that 1% that is solids, I think it's what 80%. Yeah, 80% is organic compounds. Okay,
meaning
human waste, toilet tissue, toilet paper, food particles, and naturally occurring detergents, if you will, like soaps and cleaners and things like that. Naturally occurring chemicals within those detergents.
Okay.
Or just other, in general, non-chemical product.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Then 20% is your inorganic compounds. This is what we talk about when we say we want to limit the uses of certain products. So bleach, for example.
Cleaning products.
Yes.
Okay.
Most household cleaners that you buy today, I would say, are inorganic. So they're synthetically made. They use inorganic compounds. Bleach is a perfect example. Water softener, black. Water softener discharge is a perfect example of something that's inorganic. The septic system is not going to, the bacteria is not going to break down these inorganic compounds, okay? In addition to that, these inorganic compounds can actually kill off some of the good bacteria that's in a tank already.
Okay.
All right. So, of that 80% that is organic, you can break that down into 5 types of, I'm not even sure. I did not pay attention well in chemistry class, to be honest with you, so... or biology, or
call you out. No, I'm kidding.
So there's 5 types of wastewater of the organic the percentage of wastewater that's organic. There's 5 types. There are proteins, fibers, pectins. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. Greases and starches. Okay. Starches would be like potatoes. All right. Grease would be like French fries. So there you get your starches and your grease.
And pectins.
I don't know about pectins. I'm not sure what they are. Fibers would be like toilet tissue, things like that, actual fiber material. Okay. So there's 5 types of wastewater, if you will. Each type of wastewater requires a specific enzyme to be able to break down, decompose, and treat that type of wastewater. Okay. So bacteria identifies starches. Okay. It creates an enzyme. It reproduces, creates enzymes that are designed specifically to break down starches. The additive does. In general. In general. Okay. Because there's bacteria in the wastewater coming into the tank. Okay. There's already bacteria that's there. Okay. The additive just kind of supplements it.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify.
It adds to it.
Well, I just wanted to clarify.
Yes. No, you're fine. So it breaks down, speaking specifically to starches, it's going to create an enzyme that specifically breaks down starches, but it's not going to do anything for proteins or fibers or greases. So there has to be another type of enzyme that'll break down those things and specifically. So on and so forth. And so an absence of one of those types of enzymes will result in a buildup of that type of wastewater. Sure. Okay. So if you don't have any
enzyme to break down starch, you're gonna have
a buildup of starch. Or I was thinking fibers, actually, because it's a little easier to explain if you have a lot of toilet paper in the tank.
Well, starch was the first word that came to mind.
Sure, you're fine. Or grease. You don't have the enzymes there to break down the grease. Now, excessive amounts of grease, you're not going to be able to
Yeah.
control. No matter what you do, you're not going to be able to control it. It will help, but additives will help, but you're not going to be able to keep it necessarily under control. If you cook bacon every day and you dump, a pan full of grease down the drain,
Well, you're not supposed to do that anymore.
you're not supposed to do that. So what's next here?
So, with that information,
Yes.
would you say that additives are necessary? Like, do you need them?
Do you need them? It's hard to say yes or no because, like we said earlier, every single septic tank is completely different.
Right.
The wastewater, the biological environment within the septic system is completely different. So in some situations, they would be very necessary. In other situations, they may be less necessary.
Okay.
Notice how I did not say unnecessary.
Right.
That is because, based on the research and the conversations that I had today,
Yes.
since the 1950s, we as a society, we as humans, use more antibacterial products, cleaning agents. There's more inorganic compounds in our lives.
Right.
We're using more pharmaceuticals,
Yes.
more antibiotics, things like that. We are also eating more processed foods.
Yes.
Okay. All three of those things are being introduced to the septic system in some capacity. And so it has changed the environment within the septic system, within the tank. It's also changed our, gut bacteria and how our gut process or digest food and, all that kind of stuff. So pharmaceuticals specifically, it was really interesting. I read anywhere from 10% to 65% of the actual, like if you are on an antibiotic, of the actual antibiotic gets consumed by your body.
That's a bit of a jump.
The rest of it, the 35 to 90% of it, just passes right through you.
Right.
Okay, and then that's going into the septic tank. That obviously is designed to kill off bacteria. So, same thing with processed foods. We, as a society, I would say, eat more processed foods now than we did 75 years ago.
Yeah.
And so,
It's hard not to.
well,
honestly.
those processed foods have changed our bodies.
Yeah.
Okay, they changed how we digest food, how our body, what kind of bacteria our body produces. And the conversation that I had today basically said that our bodies don't produce as strong of bacteria as they used to, as our bodies used to. And so the use of an additive can actually help replenish what's missing. The reason I say that what's missing is because septic systems were designed a long time ago. Like the conventional gravity-fed septic tank and absorption field was designed a long time ago, back before we had these antibacterial inorganic compounds that we're using, before we were using as many pharmaceuticals, or at least access to, and before we were eating a lot of processed foods, or as much as we do now.
Yes.
And so the technology of the septic system and how it was designed to operate, and a lot of the recommendations for pumping frequency and things like that came from, before these changes that we have now. I don't know when exactly all of that started, but it came from before. If somebody tells you that an additive won't benefit your system, that some of that information may be based on, it may be outdated, like we said.
And that's that outdated.
It may be based on,
possibly
information obtained from 1950. Well, everything about what we do today, not everything, but a lot about what we do today, speaking to septic systems, is different than 1950, other than the system itself necessarily.
Obviously a lot more information out there to understand more of what we're dealing with.
Yeah, there's new technology with septic systems, but the overall, a tank retains the solids, effluent goes to the soil, the soil does the treatment. That, for the most part, has not changed.
Sure.
So that's where I would say that information was outdated.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah, so it's hard for me to say they're completely necessary for everybody. It's also hard to say that they are completely unnecessary. Conversation we had today with this manufacturer said that you cannot overfeed a septic system.
Okay.
Too much bacteria is not necessarily gonna harm it. Okay, you can have too little, but too much isn't gonna harm it. So it's with the cost of it and the cost of replacing a system, I would say that it's not a bad idea.
Okay.
Personally.
I mean, overall.
I struggle with just saying
beneficial.
absolutely yes, you have to buy additives. You can only buy them from us. You need to do it. I really struggle with saying that because in many cases it's not true.
But at the end of the day, it's
not going to hurt the system. Correct.
Yeah.
It can be beneficial. If you use a lot of inorganic cleaning detergents, bleach, things like that, if you eat a lot of processed foods, if you are using any kind of medicines on a regular basis, they would be likely to be much more beneficial than if you ate only organic products or all natural products, and you didn't flush any cleaning products, you didn't use any, only or all natural, things like that. It would be a different story. Like we said, every system is a little bit different. So I would encourage people to use additives, but I would also encourage people to do the research behind the additives that they're using, if they're using them.
Or if they're interested.
Or if they're interested, yeah. And make sure that what you're getting is a quality product, not something that is 98% sawdust.
Yes.
And don't throw roadkill in the tank.
Yeah.
So that's my position on it personally. That may change. I learned a lot on these conversations we had today, the research that I did leading up to this episode. I did a lot of research, and so I learned a lot more than what I ever knew. And so I wouldn't say that my position has necessarily changed on it, but it was definitely eye-opening. Like, I used to recommend yeast, okay?
Okay.
I used to recommend people just put yeast down. Don't go to the store and waste your money on buy anything. Just use yeast.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff doesn't work. Like, yeast does not produce bacteria. It does break down starches, but it doesn't do anything for your proteins, for the other stuff. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm learning a lot. So
we both are.
Yes.
I learned a lot today.
I learn every day, and that's part of why I really like doing what we do. Yeah. So, keeps you on your toes.
Sure. Yeah.
And sometimes in a trench.
Yes, that's true. That is for sure.
Yeah. So, what else? Am I missing anything?
I think this kind of concludes
it? All right.
This concludes this episode.
I didn't forget anything, did I?
I don't think so.
All right.
Do we have an idea of what we're wanting to cover next week, or just kind of
I don't know.
Wing it?
Yeah, we'll wing it. We'll surprise. I'm gonna surprise you.
Surprise me. Okay.
Or you surprise me and just tell me what we're talking about.
No.
Okay.
Nope. I'm not gonna do that. But
all right, we'll figure it out.
Otherwise, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll be here next week. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this week's episode.
Yes, thank you. I hope this was informative and not too boring.
Yeah.
I think that every time we do one of these, though, I hope it was informative, not too boring.
I mean, I think we're entertaining enough. No,
okay.
I'm kidding, but
well, hopefully, yeah. Just trying to bring value. I don't want people wasting money on inferior, low-quality products, but I also don't want people to have misconceptions about what those products are capable of doing.
Absolutely.
One last little note here: if you use an additive, you're still going to have to regularly maintain the tank.
Yes.
So
yep, it's not,
I want to make sure that is known.
Yes.
An additive won't necessarily hurt, but you're still going to have to pump the tank. You're still going to have to care for the system. Mm-hmm. So.
But yeah, well, thank you guys again for watching.
Thank you.
And we will see you again next week.
Have a good one.